United's summer rebuild just took a wild turn. 3 midfield targets, a childhood United fan chasing his dream move, and 3 Premier League rivals circling the same academy graduate. But one stubborn problem could blow the whole plan apart. Stick with me, and you'll understand exactly how close this could get, and why the next fortnight might decide United's entire summer. This is Transfer Watch. Let's open with the name everyone's buzzing about. A 22-year-old PSG midfielder United are reportedly assembling a bid worth around £50 million for. Assembling, not submitting, not agreed. Assembling. That single word tells you exactly where this really stands right now. United are sorting the financing internally, stress-testing the numbers, preparing something serious enough for PSG to actually take seriously. Before we go further, if transfer sagas like this one keep you hooked, hit subscribe now so you don't miss where this goes next. Here's what makes this fascinating. PSG almost never sell academy graduates this talented. He's homegrown, whispered to be a future club captain. This isn't some fringe name United are quietly plucking off a shortlist. It's a player PSG built their midfield identity around. Landing him wouldn't just be a transfer, it would be a statement. It says, United are done shopping in the discount aisle, ready to go head-to-head with Europe's elite for genuine class instead of squad filler. 50 million isn't pocket change for a bench option. So here's the question nobody can answer yet. Would PSG even sit down and negotiate? Losing their prized academy product mid-rebuild would be an enormous call for their board. Their whole project is built around keeping him, which is exactly why this saga will crawl before it moves an inch. Picture the scenario. United table the 50 million. PSG laugh it off as insulting. Do United walk away quietly or come back with an even bigger number and turn this into a full-blown transfer war? Nobody knows yet, and that uncertainty alone is worth watching closely over the coming weeks. But this midfielder isn't the only story brewing, not even close. Hold on, because there's a fresh twist involving a Real Madrid midfielder that changes everything. Reports suggest United have quietly renewed contact over a Real Madrid engine room player, reigniting a pursuit many thought was dead. Apparently United aren't fazed by contract renewal talks since nothing official has been signed. He fits their recruitment profile perfectly, a genuine defensive anchor. And with Madrid reportedly eyeing a different holding midfielder elsewhere, a late swoop hasn't been ruled out according to insiders. But almost instantly, a contradicting report surfaces. Another well-connected journalist insists this same player has already signed a new Madrid deal, fully done, killing any United move stone dead despite once being tipped as the long-term successor there. So right now, we've got 2 completely opposite versions of the same story. One says it's very much alive. One says it's already finished. We'll keep tracking this closely, but for now, let's circle back to United's wider midfield rebuild. Because while that name gets sorted, another situation has been quietly simmering in the background for months, almost invisible until now. A 21-year-old French international. United have stayed in contact with his camp for a long stretch, not a sudden approach out of nowhere, but a patient situation monitored quietly from the shadows, waiting for the right window to strike. Fresh inquiries have reportedly gone in. Here's the honest reality check, though. Nothing is advanced. Nothing is close. United are still genuinely weighing whether a third midfield addition even happens this window. Wait, did you catch that? A third midfielder? Yes, this isn't a one-in, one-out situation anymore. United could realistically bring in 3 fresh midfield names before deadline day. 3. Let that number actually sink in, because that's a genuine squad overhaul, not a minor tweak. This French midfielder has been admired inside Old Trafford for years. That part isn't new. What is new is the timing, and everything hinges on one club above all others: Real Madrid. His long-term future in the Spanish capital could decide this entire saga. If Madrid clarify their plans either way, United's interest either accelerates rapidly or dies on the spot. Picture the 2 versions here. Version 1, Madrid decide to move on without him, and United swoop immediately, landing one of Europe's most gifted young midfielders in red. Version 2, Madrid dig their heels in, extend him, and this entire chapter quietly closes without another word. Nobody currently knows which version we're actually getting, and that's exactly what makes this one so tense to follow. So, Two elite midfield situations, both alive, both unresolved, both capable of completely reshaping United's engine room on their own. And remember, that's before we've even touched the third midfield name still floating quietly in the background. United said 3 targets, we've only named 2 so far, which means there's still a gap nobody has publicly filled in yet. Keep that thought parked because it matters later. For now, let's step completely away from midfield because United's summer business stretches way beyond the engine room. Let's talk wingers. Here's a name that hits differently for United supporters. United have reportedly made an enquiry for a Crystal Palace winger. Sounds routine, right? Except one detail flips the story on its head. This winger grew up a United fan, a genuine childhood one who has openly called United his dream club. Say that again, his dream club. And now United are genuinely knocking on his door. Reports out of France suggest he isn't even United's #1 target here. But his profile, output, and versatility across the front line fit precisely what United's recruitment department is scouting for right now. And that's really the story here. United aren't rushing into anything. They're exploring multiple options before committing to one single name. Calculated business, patient business. The recruitment team is clearly building a genuine shortlist rather than obsessing over one player. But imagine that actual moment if it happens. A boyhood United supporter pulling on the shirt he dreamed about as a kid, walking out at Old Trafford for the very first time. That's the kind of story that writes itself, and that's exactly why fans have already latched onto this one, even with United insisting he isn't the priority target, because here's the real tension underneath it all. If he isn't the priority, then who actually is? United weighing several options means there's at least one more name we haven't even heard yet. Another open thread, another reason to keep watching this space. But then there's a name that flips the entire conversation. A 28-year-old academy graduate everyone knows. 3 Premier League clubs are reportedly circling him, all plotting moves for a player who came through United's own academy pathway from schoolboy to first team. And here's where things get genuinely tense. United's hierarchy reportedly do not want him joining a direct domestic rival. If he leaves, the message from Old Trafford is apparently clear: it won't be to another English club. That's a genuine power move, a firm line in the sand, and it puts all 3 London boardrooms in an awkward spot simultaneously. Think about the politics of that for a second. 3 separate boardrooms all wanting the same player, all knowing United would rather send him abroad, accept a smaller fee, or simply keep him than hand him straight to a domestic rival. That's not just a transfer story anymore. That's a genuine chess match with pride on the line. So what happens if none of the 3 English suitors find a workaround? Does he stay and fight for his place instead? Does a European club suddenly step in and solve the problem for everyone involved? Right now, all 3 of those paths remain wide open, which brings us to the story that's dragged on longest of all. The one fans are genuinely growing frustrated watching. A Brighton midfielder United have long been chasing. United approached Brighton weeks ago. The player reportedly wants the move. Everything on his side points firmly towards yes. But then reality bites. Negotiations have stalled. Brighton are holding firm for a bigger fee. United refused to go past £50 million. A gap, a genuine standoff. 2 clubs staring each other down while the player waits in the middle, wondering if this happens before his window shuts for good. And here's the tension point worth watching closely. Every single day this drags on, the risk grows heavier. Risk that United simply walk away and reinvest that money elsewhere. Risk that Brighton dig in even harder, knowing they currently hold all the leverage. Risk that another club quietly swoops in while everyone's distracted by the bigger midfield headlines. Stalled deals rarely stay stalled forever. They either collapse without warning or explode into a done deal almost overnight. And think about what this actually means for that third midfield spot mentioned earlier. If this deal collapses completely, does that transfer budget get redirected somewhere else entirely? Does it suddenly make the French midfielder more realistic again? These stories genuinely aren't separate threads, they're connected. One falling through changes the maths on every single other one. So let's zoom right out, because when you line all this up, the PSG midfielder, the French international, the boyhood winger, the academy graduate's future, the stalled Brighton saga, you start seeing the real picture. This isn't a quiet, sleepy transfer window. This is United trying to rebuild an entire midfield while protecting their attacking core across multiple fronts with multiple fires burning. 3 midfield targets, 1 boyhood fan winger, One homegrown academy star wanted by 3 rivals at once. One stalled deal that could still collapse or explode into a done deal any single day now. The next 2 weeks could genuinely define United's whole season before a ball is even kicked in anger. And here's what makes this window feel genuinely different. It isn't reactive anymore. It isn't United scrambling late, overpaying purely out of deadline day desperation. This actually looks like an organized, layered plan. Multiple targets, multiple positions, multiple contingencies, all running simultaneously like the club genuinely knows what it wants for once. Whether that plan actually delivers is a different question, though, because reported interest and completed transfers remain 2 very different things, and United fans know that better than anyone who's lived through a chaotic deadline day before. Think about how many of these stories could realistically swing in totally different directions before this window shuts. The PSG midfielder could still end up staying in Paris. The French international could sign a fresh Madrid deal by tomorrow. The boyhood winger could quietly slip down United's list. The academy graduate could end up staying put after all this speculation. And the Brighton saga could either collapse entirely or suddenly resolve within days the moment that number shifts. That's 5 separate storylines, 5 wildly different outcomes, and every single one reshapes this United squad heading into the new season. So here's the real question. Out of everyone we've covered, the PSG midfielder, the French international, the boyhood winger, the academy graduate, and the Brighton target, who actually makes United better by the time August rolls around. But honestly, what do you think? Would any of this work out? Drop your prediction below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, stay subscribed so you never miss the next twist.